All right, hey, I'm Greg with Greg James Designs, and today I want to just visit with you a little bit about conventional insulation in your Barndominium. You may not want spray foam, so what are your options? We're going to talk about that here in just a second. All right, so let's say you don't want to do spray foam. A lot of people don't want to do spray foam. Well, I wouldn't say a lot. It just depends. We do have clients that just are not comfortable with spray foam. They don't want to be spraying chemicals in their house, and I can totally understand that. So what are your options? Well, there's a couple of ways. I was a contractor for many, many years in the commercial world, and we built a lot of metal buildings and metal structures, and this is how we did it. And before spray foam became so popular, this was pretty efficient. So let me show you. So you got your, we're talking about conventional insulation, okay? So let's say you have your metal building. I did just a little kind of a rough diagram here. So what we have is we have our inside walls here. The little yellow line would represent like your wood framing inside your steel, okay? You got your steel line going up here with your sheeting on it. Well, what we used to do is we used to go ahead and pay the steel building erector to put on roll batt insulation. All that is it comes in a wide roll, I think it's about 6 feet wide, 5 feet wide, sorry. And it comes with a vinyl backed a vinyl backing on it as a vapor barrier. So you install that down. So it would be, if this is your steel structure, if we kind of cut through your building here, and you got your steel frame here and your sheeting, your purlins, and then your wall girts, your Z purlins and your wall girts. Well, your roll batt would just be draped over the steel and then screwed down over each one of these purlins and then screwed through here. Okay, well, you could probably see what happens. Let's say you purchase a R11 or R19 batt, which is like a 4-inch or 6-inch, and you can get, I think, even like 2-inch. And so let's say I wouldn't do anything less than probably at least an R11 or an R19, especially on the roof. But the problem is when you drape it down and you screw this down, guess what? It pinches over each one of these purlins and it collapses it down, so the insulation value is not much at that point. So, fiberglass insulation have to capitalize on the air that's trapped inside the insulation. That's how it helps, function. So what do you do? Well, that's where we would start. So we go ahead and have the metal building contractor, when he puts the building up, put the vinyl backed insulation in, and then also I recommend, if you're going to do roll batt insulation, you want to get what's called scrim backed, or it's a reinforced vinyl back. So it's got a webbing meshed into it. Problem is, over a period of time, like you may have been in a metal building, and that insulation will droop as it gets hot. Over as the time goes on, it'll begin to droop. So if you use a vinyl backed, a reinforced, it keeps it up there nice and tight in place. So that's what I'd recommend. Okay, so what do you do from there? Well, once your framing is in, so I recommend a blow-in, like a Nuwool, Nuwool, makes a good product, been around a long time. And what they use is a cellulose, which is like a recycled paper. And so if you're more conscious, environmentally conscious, and you think that that's something you want to consider, that's what I'd recommend. You can also use rock wool, which is just a natural mineral. It works very well. Both are very fire retardant. The cellulose, as it's processed, is sprayed with fire retardant, so it does great for fire resistance. So what they do, there's a couple of ways to do it. One way they do it is they attach a mesh, and then they staple it to the framing, and then they go in here and they blow in these cavities completely full, and they pack them in really tight and dense, and does a great job. Another thing they do is they'll usually what I recommend is they'll mix a little bit of an additive in that makes it sticky. And so the biggest problem when they first in the 60s and 70s, I guess, when they started blowing this insulation in the walls, was it would settle. So, you know, first top 8 inches of your wall, there's no insulation. It's like it just settles down in that cavity. So what they did to fix that was put an additive in it to make it sticky, and it dries, just stays there forever. So, and then another method, which I would think labor-wise would be cheaper, is they mix the same type additive in the cellulose. They just blow it into the cavity, and it just sticks in the cavity, and they just let it kind of come out here. And then they take a scrubber, which is like an auger, and they flush cut all that insulation with the studs and just trim it off. And then they clean up the mess. And so that does a great job too. That saves them having to go around, and it takes a lot of time to put all that netting up. And so that's what we recommend. So 2 steps: you got your vinyl batt roll insulation here. Have your steel building contractor put that on for you. Once your framing's up, just have an insulation company come in and give you some options. I don't really recommend batt. Wall batts are not very efficient at all. Like anything, you want the exterior penetrations all sealed up nice and tight. So any plumbing you put through the wall, water hydrant, electrical, anything, that all needs to be caulked and sealed with a permanent, like a silicone or a urethane caulk, so that it'll be there forever. That's real important, because you still want to get this building as airtight as possible. It's a little more difficult to do that with conventional insulation, but these are some options. So if you're not a big fan of spraying a 2-part chemical in your house and then it being there forever, I totally understand that. My understanding of the products they use now and manufacture versus like 10 plus years ago are much safer. They're much health friendly. And so anyway, but I'm by no means an expert in spray foam. It's just we deal with this all day, every day, all day. So we've had to get a lot of information about it, and I've talked to my spray foam contractor and got his input. And but back in the day, I've been around a little while, this is the way we used to do it, and it worked very, very well. It made a very efficient structure. So I hope that helps you, and just let us know. Feel free to give us a call here. We'd love to help you with your Barndominium, and we love doing this. We're very passionate about it. So thank you very much.